Spider-Man, Spider-Man, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. His reward. Look out! Here comes the Spider-Man. That's y'all don't know nothing about that song, do you? Spider-Man. My boys like, Mom, can we go see Spider-Man? My husband, he's like, he'll go with us. We go to see Spider-Man. I leave the theater absolutely confused. What? Spider-Verse? Earth 42? Earth 569.5? What did I just see? What? How did it end? Like, what was that? What? I have no idea. And I went in search of a video to explain it to me. This guy, I watch him all the time. Film Theorist, my kids always have him playing in the background. And my son, my youngest son, had him playing in the background. I'm like, oh, I think I'm understanding a little bit of the movie now. But that's enough of me running my mouth. Let's see what the Film Theorist has to say. And you know, disclaimer, Dr. D Nice did not have that premium YouTube. And you know how it goes. Every once in a while, we may have to pause for a minute, pause for a moment of silence while the commercial play. But that's okay. We almost gonna get there because we're almost monetized. We'll see. Keep watching the videos. All right, let's go. Spider-Man.
Hiccups though, the movie was a visual masterpiece, throwing us into multiple new universes and showing us hundreds, literal hundreds of new Spider-Men, each with their own unique visual aesthetics and styles. For me, the standouts had to be Spider-Gwen's watercolor world and the incredible 80s paper cutout animations of Spider-Punk. Also, biggest laugh clearly goes to the Lego universe, which turns out was animated by a 14-year-old?
Yep.
Kids these days, man, you guys are so talented. Without a doubt, Across the Spider-Verse took all the ideas from the first film and turned them up to 11. Spoiler warning for Across the Spider-Verse in case you didn't figure it out by this point. After the events of several recent movies, including Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man No Way Home, and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which yes, Doctor Strange is specifically called out in this movie.
Don't even get me started on Doctor Strange and the little nerd back on Earth 1999.
Holes have started showing up throughout the multiverse. These have let bad guys slip into alternate dimensions and wreak havoc. In response, Miguel O'Hara, the sci-fi Spider-Man 2099, has set up the Spider Society to help police the multiverse and bring all these villains home. But when Miles wants to join the Spider Society, Miguel refuses him at every step, because Miles is actually part of the problem. He unintentionally created the Spot, a multi-dimensional villain, and the events of Into the Spider-Verse were never supposed to happen. Miles was not supposed to be bitten by the radioactive spider. His world's Peter Parker was not supposed to die. Miles was never supposed to take on the role of Spider-Man.
Okay, this is the part that threw me up. I'm like, what? I promise you, maybe they said it in the previous Spider-Man. I was so confused. I'm like, Miles not supposed to be Spider-Man? His accident? I did. I promise you all, I saw the Spider-Man. I did. I don't remember. I just don't remember. We'll just keep going because Mr. Film Theorist is gonna help me understand. Okay.
In the first place. What's even worse, that spider that bit Miles wasn't even from his universe. So Miles is the original anomaly that started knocking over all these dominoes. So to help set things straight, Miguel and his Spider Society are trying their best to, quote, restore the canon, to make things right by ensuring that the big events that are supposed to happen to every Spider-Man across every world actually happen. And if they don't, well then the multiverse itself could collapse. You know, no pressure. But see, loyal theorists, I have a problem.
Okay. So that's the part I was confused about. What is supposed to happen now? He's supposed to... If this canon, the canon events, they were talking about this canon event, you know, like the Spider-Man's, the police captain related to Spider-Man has to die in every Spider-Verse, and are all these things happening at the same time? But you know what? I'm gonna just calm down and let's just lean into the Film Theorist video. Keep watching it I'm sure at some point something's gonna click
with
in
his
my
line
head.
of logic. It doesn't sit right with me given everything that we see both in this movie and throughout the wider multiverse that this movie sits within. I think Miguel is making a huge mistake here. I think he's wrong about the whole canon events thing. I also think he's wrong about Miles being the real danger of all of this. And that error is ultimately going to destroy everything that we love about every superhero movie if they don't set things right. We're not only looking at the collapse of the Spider-Verse here, we are looking at the end of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So change into your Spider-Sonas, friends, and let's swing into it.
Okay,
Within the
let's
film, we're
break it
introduced to
down
the
for me.
idea of canon events. According to Miguel, these
Okay.
are fixed events in time that must happen for a universe to remain stable. Basically, it's the explanation for why so many different versions of Spider-Man across so many different stories all experience the same things. They had to happen for that universe to exist. Now, they don't
Okay, I understood that part. I'm not gonna lie. I totally understood the whole canon event. What didn't I understand? Honestly, I almost feel like it was the ending that just messed me up. It just didn't end like, oh, Spider-Man, save your dad who's a captain, to be continued. Oh, I'm just so confused. Okay, am I the only one? Let me know in the comment section below if I'm the only person. While you're doing that, subscribe, press the like button. Right? Okay, I'm gonna keep rolling through it because we have quite a few minutes of this to watch. We do. Wait, we're gonna be here a little bit because we're getting to the bottom of Spider-Man.
outright give us an explicit list of canon events that have to occur for all the Spider-Man, but they do show us images of several others within the web of life and destiny.
50 Cent is hitting the road.
So there
The
you go.
final
I
lap tour
told you all.
2020.
Our commercial is gonna be coming here in a little bit. But yeah, have you all seen the Spider-Man? What did you all think? Am I the only person that was confused about it? I can't be. Please, I mean, not like I have to have other people with me, but Miserly does love company. It does. Okay, all right, let's go. Let's keep it going. All right, let's go. Keep going.
I spotted included a spider bite giving someone superpowers, the death of an Uncle Ben-esque figure, teaching Spider-Man the lesson that with great power comes great responsibility, connecting with a love interest, sometimes with an upside-down kiss in the rain, a wedding to a love interest, a symbiote creating a nemesis, throwing the Spider-Man costume away, and being crushed by rubble before finding the strength to lift it. Gwen also mentions that in every other universe, Gwen Stacy falls for Spider-Man, and in every universe it doesn't work out, so that one may or may not be a canon event as well. But the big one, the one that applies the most to this particular story,
Yes.
a police captain close to Spider-Man dies, usually by trying to save a child from falling debris. This is where the main conflict of the story
that
comes
happened
in.
in
Miles's
the-
dad is about to be sworn in as captain of
Yes,
the NYPD,
I got
and obviously he doesn't want his dad to die, but you apparently can't bypass a canon event, and Miguel refuses to let Miles leave to save his father's life. This is something that Miguel had to learn the hard way. According to Miguel, he wanted to be happy with a family, and so he found himself a universe where that universe's version of him had been killed. He then stepped in and secretly replaced his dead self. It sounds complicated, but basically he just pulled a Rick and Morty. In fact, if we're being honest, this whole movie is just pulling one big Rick.
I know nothing about Rick and Morty. Do you understand me? I was like, Rick and Morty? Now you're confusing me more. Rick and Morty? When will it stop? Okay, all right, let's keep going.
and Morty, Spider Society, Citadel of Ricks much. It's not a bad thing, I'm just saying. Anyway, Miguel stepping in was an issue since his death was considered to be a canon event in that timeline, leading to that universe collapsing. People were erased from existence, including Miguel's daughter, who disappeared in his arms. By the end of it all, the universe was gone, leaving Miguel devastated and
Okay, so I got that part. Let's kind of skip ahead because I think we're getting...
about this, the whole canon events thing, I'm not buying it. First of all, I have a lot of questions about Miguel's story here. He claims that the universe with his family collapsed because he bypassed a canon event. So, does that mean that Miguel's death was a canon event? But who then was it a canon event for?
See, I kind of figure out, well, I sort of was tracking, following the Miguel canon event thing. And remember, I am going to link this video in the description. Y'all can go and watch it yourself. I did figure out the canon event part for Miguel. What It's like the whole thing just left me a little confused. I'm not gonna lie. Here we go.
Getting his Peter Parker killed, didn't that disrupt every other canon event of Miles' universe? Shouldn't that universe have imploded? Or is that universe self-correcting around Miles? Given how much of an anomaly Miguel makes Miles out to be, that probably shouldn't be the case if Miguel is truly right in his hypothesis. Another easy example would be the symbiote attaching to someone and becoming a nemesis for Spider-Man. What's the problem here? Well, Across the Spiderverse features a moment where the Spot briefly pops into the universe of the Tom Hardy Venom movies to steal some gum. But it doesn't seem like there's a Spider-Man in the Venomverse for Eddie Brock to butt heads with, considering Eddie doesn't react to Spider-Man being unmasked when he briefly crossed over into the MCU during the post-credit scene for Let There Be Carnage. Another example would be Spider-Man connecting with and marrying their love interest. This problem comes with the Amazing Spider-Man films, which are directly connected to this universe through a cameo with Andrew Garfield. Sure, he fell in love with Gwen Stacy in his world, but after her death, he focuses all of his time and energy into being Spider-Man, as he explains in No Way Home.
You have someone?
I got no time for Peter Parker stuff.
That is years without a love interest, without building any sort of a relationship, without a wedding, etc., etc. And yet, as far as we can tell, the world of the Amazing Spider-Man still hasn't collapsed nearly a decade after we last saw it.
It's almost like you have had to have watched all those other shows to fully understand it. Maybe it's me. The problem is me. I was not fully committed to the whole Spidey thing, and I didn't recall all the Spidiness, all the other episodes, and then I was left wanting with Spidey knowledge. And because of that, there were gaps in my, because it needed a base. I didn't have enough of a base, maybe? I don't know. It's just... we'll keep going. I'm okay.
Thirdly, we gotta talk about the Uncle Ben moment. This death is supposed to be a massive world-shaking event that sets Spider-Man on his path, teaching him all about power and responsibility. Now, it doesn't literally need to be a Ben Parker who dies. For Miles, it was Uncle Aaron. For Gwen, it was her friend Peter Parker. For Miguel, it looks like it was his daughter. But here's the issue that I find with all of this. Tom Holland's Peter Parker operates as Spider-Man in the MCU for literal, actual years before he eventually has his Uncle Ben moment. Just to make sure that we're all on the same page here, the writers of the MCU Spider-Man movies have stated that
Okay, so what I'm understanding so far is that the Film Theorist doesn't really believe the canon thing. He thinks maybe Miguel is lying about it to try to set Miles up for something. Is Miguel the bad guy? Is he a plant? I don't know. He didn't say that. He is not saying that. He's hinting to it, though. Do you really need a canon event? Is he trying to be a blocker?
Ben's death in the MCU did happen, but it didn't have the same impact on Holland's Peter Parker as the others across the multiverse. Instead, the importance of this moment was shifted onto Aunt May in Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, you might be thinking, hey, it happens eventually, so we're all good, but are we just gonna ignore the timeline here? In every other dimension that we've ever seen ever, this Uncle Ben moment happens within months.
Okay. So we'll just keep going because basically he's talking about the whole Uncle Ben moment. Keep flipping through. Let's see. Flip right to a commercial. We don't have time for you, commercial. We'll keep talking. Anyway, so that's what I'm understanding about the whole multiverse thing, that maybe it really isn't gonna be... Not multiverse. I said, what is it? Hold on. Yeah, not the multiverse, but the Spiderverse. You see,
we see in the movie, all thanks to that necessary death of a police captain close to Spider-Man bit that drives the whole conflict. Remember, Mumbattan starts collapsing immediately after Miles saves Captain Singh, literal seconds after that event.
There's a lot of spoilers in there. There's the Indian Spider-Man, and Spider-Man in the movie now has rescued the little girl that apparently the police chief, which is the Indian Spider-Man, the police chief was the dad of his girlfriend, and he was supposed to die. The police chief was, but Spidey swung in. Miles swung in, saved the day, and soon as he did, shortly after that, the whole Mumbai place start destroying. That's what he's talking about. There's a lot of spoilers here. But you still kind of have to watch
if
the
canon
thing
events
to get
don't
it
have
filled
to
in.
happen at specific times, couldn't Captain Singh or another captain have just died later in the story of that world? And yet, here's Miles' world, which is totally fine. It didn't collapse when Peter Parker died. All of this tells me that what the movie says about canon events and the fallout of breaking canon is wrong. Miguel has misidentified the problem.
So,
what we're seeing in
Miguel
these
is trying to
movies
set him
isn't
up.
the breaking of canon, it's incursions, just like we've been seeing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And that is way, way worse than any of these Spider-Men think
What
it
does
is.
that
Now, if you
mean?
dropped off the main MCU after Endgame, you might not know what I'm talking about here. We first learn about incursions in Doctor Strange and the say that those
Ooh, I messed up. I'm sorry. Okay, I lost our spot.
15 minutes of this movie
Don't even get me started on Doctor Strange.
I went, Lord. Okay.
everyone in it. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? This is an incursion, and they are no joke. We see what's left of a universe after its incursion, and it's a wasteland. It is a void of nothingness. This is such a big threat that the Illuminati think Doctor Strange merely existing in their universe is a major risk, and that he needs to be dealt with. But hold on, why am I connecting this movie to the MCU? Sony is the one that's making the Spider-Verse films, not Marvel. And that's correct. But Spider-Verse goes well out of its way to make sure that there is a connection established to the MCU.
So this guy, he really gets into the details of trying to understand stuff. That's why my kids like to watch him and I like to listen.
And it's
in
not
the
a blink and you miss it cameo or offhanded reference either. Like I said at the top of the episode, Miguel straight up references the events of No Way Home and Multiverse of Madness within the first 15 minutes of this movie.
Don't even get me started on Doctor Strange and the little nerd back on Earth 1999-99.
Earth 1999-99 is a designation of the MCU in Marvel multimedia. First called out in the official handbook of the Marvel Universe A to Z. No Way Home connected the older Sony films to the MCU multiverse. So the projections of both Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man also connect this movie to them too. The Spot briefly visits Mrs. Chen from the Venom movies, a world also connected through No Way Home. And Donald Glover cameos as a variant of Uncle Aaron suited up as the Prowler, the same role that we see him play in the MCU. But the linchpin that 100% slots this into the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse now, when Miguel begins his explanation of the Spider-Verse to Miles, he projects a simulation of the multiverse, one that looks exactly like how the multiverse has been portrayed throughout the MCU. And I'm not just talking, oh, it kind of looks like it if you squint at it, I guess. This is exactly the same glowing, glimmering white threads branching off into multiple timelines, just like what we saw in Loki, just like what we saw in Quantumania. Okay. Having all of these connections to the MCU, positioning this as part of the wider Marvel Cinematic franchise, means that we have to bring in the MCU logic here. Sony can't have their MCU cake and eat it too, even if they do buy two cakes. If people from one universe crossing over into another universe is something that causes incursions, that is what we're seeing in this franchise. And it explains everything. It solves all of the issues that we've been having. When Miguel crossed over into that other universe where he died so he could live a happy life with his family, he caused that world to be erased through an incursion. It explains why Earth 42, the world without a Spider-Man because our Miles got bit by its spider, is totally fine despite it breaking canon. No extra dimensional visitors have spent any significant time there, thereby avoiding
so no extra dimensional visitors should spend time anywhere. That's so Miguel is wrong, is what. Because I was wondering, I'm like, what do you mean you have to kill somebody? Somebody has to die. What do you mean? If you're Spider-Man, you can't save the person. That canon event must happen or else everything will just be destroyed. Like you're trapped into destiny. You all remember like Naruto? Y'all know I love Naruto. When Naruto had that big speech to Neji, "No, you are not stuck with that." Okay, I'm being silly now. Okay, all right. Let's keep going. All right.
Incursion. It also explains what's happening in Mumbattan. Miles, Gwen, Spider-Punk, and the Spot basically destroy a massive stretch of the city, leaving a giant footprint behind. The hole that opens up in Mumbattan is the beginnings of an incursion, one that the Spider Society is arguably making worse by trying to fix. And that's the bitter irony in all of this. In Miguel's desire to try and fix the problem that he wrongly identifies as breaking the canon, what's he do? He gathers Spider people from across the multiverse into one place, and then he sends them on missions to realities that aren't their own. Every single single time that he does that, the Spider Society is risking another massive series of these universe-ending events. In short, by trying to help the situation, by forcing things to fit a proper mold, to be the right, correct way, Miguel has made it exponentially worse. Not only increasing the risk of incursions happening throughout the multiverse, but by indoctrinating a literal army of spider people into simply standing by while innocent victims die. All in preservation of things being done the right way, the correct way. And thematically, this theory makes a lot of sense. The story that I suspect that the Spider-Verse franchise is trying to tell us is that anyone can be Spider-Man, but that everyone is gonna be doing it their own way. Everyone is gonna be doing it a little differently. Everyone's gonna carry that responsibility differently. But that doesn't mean that they're doing it wrong. You are your own person, and you can choose your destiny. You are not the product of a bunch of events that came before you. Miguel getting angry at Miles for messing up how things are supposed to happen, yelling at him because he's not supposed to be a Spider-Man, that could be a stand-in for a lot of the audience resistant to change. An audience who wants to see the same stories playing out over and over again the right way. Or that can also be a stand-in for where we are in society today, where certain classes of people are allowed to do things with their lives that others aren't just because they're right or correct, just like how certain people can and can't be Spider-Man in Miguel's eyes. But
they're doing a deeper mission. You're not trapped into this thing. Okay, you know what? I kind of like what he's saying. If that was what the Spider-Man was trying to teach us, I accept it. Okay, I accept it. If that's what he was trying to treat us, you're not locked into any specific destiny like that. Canon events, Manon events, whatever. I'm here to save lives, and I'm not just gonna let somebody die just because you feel this must happen. I don't know. What do y'all think in the comment section below? It's still not clear to me. I'm glad I watched the video. Yeah. Maybe I'll just have to wait because, you know, at the end it says, to be continued. I'll need part 2 for it all to come clear in my head. I'll come back to you after I see the next part, whenever they release it, and we'll figure this out. All right, guys, I'm out. Let's see. Oh, you know what? We can't leave here without a little lesson in Found. Found, you know, is the 5 keys to wellness and wisdom to help unlock your best. And the F in Found is for fuel. Listen, make sure you're eating fruits and vegetables. There's one thing that I found out, that sugar, high sugar diet lowers your testosterone. For guys, y'all know what's up with that. Your testosterone is low. Not so fun. For girls, though, your testosterone is low. Not so fun either. It could mess with your mental health. You need a little bit of testosterone, women do, and men, you know for sure y'all need it. Stay away from high sugary foods. I'm not talking fruits now. I'm talking those simple sugars, the quick sugars, the processed sugars that are in foods. That is our Living in Fount teaching for the day. That was your F in Fount. Listen, follow what the Spider-Man is telling you. You're not locked into a specific destiny. You're not an accident. You are here. Embrace your destiny. You have a purpose. That's what Miles figured. Miguel wanted to tell him, oh, you're an accident. No. You were supposed to happen. What seemed like an accident, or what even sometimes is an accident, can all work out for the greater good if you let it. All right, guys, I'm out. Where's our song? Get your mind right and your body tight. 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 Let me find it.
Get your mind right and your body tight. Get your mind right and your body tight. Get your mind right and your body tight.
All right.